Good morning, everyone. I welcome you to our presentation on the impact of the Supreme Court order on imported coal-based power projects. I would like to begin by thanking Team ET for giving us this chance to share our perspective on this uh, topic, which is affecting the power sector with all of you. Basically, I'll begin with a brief background. Basically, the background goes back to somewhere around 2006 to 2008 period, where Adani Power Limited and Coastal Gujarat Power Limited, they had tied up competitively bid-based PPAs with various state distribution utilities. For instance, Adani Power had tied up competitive bids with Gujarat and Haryana at various rates between 2 rupee 35 paise to 2 rupee 94 paise, while Coastal Gujarat had tied up power. This was, of course, the ultra mega power project, which was based on imported coal at around 2 rupee 26 paise per unit, with discoms based in the states of Gujarat, Haryana, Punjab, Maharashtra, and Rajasthan, respectively. Subsequent to then, other things happened by the time the projects got commissioned. There had been an escalation in the imported coal price compared to what these developers had estimated would be the case when they started the project. But more importantly, there had been certain changes in regulations overseas. For instance, the government of Indonesia, they notified regulations in September 2010, stating that the export price of the coal mined in Indonesia should be benchmarked to international market price of coal, and exporters were prohibited from selling coal at a price lower than the benchmark price. Now, particularly in the case of those developers who had captive mines in Indonesia, and they expected that the viability of the business as a whole would be supported by the fact that in case there was a coal price escalation, they could still sell below the benchmark price and make profits at other SPVs. So obviously it had an impact on that. So in July 2012, faced with increasing coal cost, the affected parties, namely Adani Power and Coastal Gujarat, they filed petitions before the CERC requesting that tariff reliefs be given due to increase in coal cost arising from change in mining regulations in Indonesia. In April 2013, the CERC acknowledged the fact that there was a requirement for a tariff relief, and they directed setting up a committee to decide on the tariff relief framework. In February 2014, the CERC approved compensatory tariff for Coastal Gujarat Power Limited and Adani Power Limited. However, after that, the affected counterparties, namely the off-taking state distribution utilities, approached the Supreme Court, and Supreme Court directed APTEL to rule on the matter. In April 2016, APTEL, in its judgment, acknowledged the fact changes in regulations in Indonesia had affected the economics of PPAs entered by these entities, and APTEL directed CERC to assess the extent of impact on these projects, considering the changes in regulations as a force majeure event. In December 2016, after this, the CERC approved a tariff relief for APL and CGPL as directed by APTEL under the force majeure, allowing pass-through of additional coal cost. However, after this, in April 2017, the Supreme Court has disallowed the tariff relief for APL and CGPL. So let's go into some more details on the overview of the orders which have been issued by these entities. Basically, coming to the APTEL order, the APTEL had issued an order on April 7, 2016, acknowledging the fact that the changes in regulations in Indonesia had affected the economics of the PPAs entered into by APL and CGPL, and this and the non-availability and short supply of coal from domestic sources were considered as a force majeure event for APL. So in response to this, basically the APTEL directed CERC to assess the extent of impact of force majeure events on the projects and provide them such relief as may be available under the respective PPAs. In December 2016, subsequent to this, the CERC came out with its order for APL and Coastal Gujarat Power Limited approving tariff relief under the force majeure clause. However, the implementation of this order issued by CERC subject to the permission or validation by the Supreme Court. In its orders, the CERC had estimated the tariff relief for APL at around 29 paise per unit and 26 paise based for the PPAs with distribution utilities in Gujarat and Haryana. This was based on the coal price and index exchange rate prevailing as on March 2016. For CGPL, the tariff relief had been estimated at around 5 paise per unit based on the coal price and exchange rate prevailing in August 2015. However, subsequent when this matter was taken to the Supreme Court on April 11, 2017, the Supreme Court of India has come out with a final order disallowing the relief for imported coal-based projects of APL and CGPL. Basically, the Supreme Court in its order had noticed that changes in international regulations could not be used to construe a change in law or force majeure event with respect to the PPAs signed with the distribution utilities. Basically, the argument was that when these players had entered into these PPAs, they were aware of the fact that international coal prices were volatile, and that risk had been should have been factored into by these players while making the PPA bids. This development, we feel, is a negative development for not only these entities as well as all those imported coal-based projects. We estimate that the total capacities they have bid out are estimated at around 9 gigawatts, including these players, which were competitively based and with either nil or very limited fuel escalation clause in the bid tariff. But if you look at the domestic impact on the domestic coal-based projects, there is a silver lining from them. Basically, in the order, the Supreme Court has directed that the CERC can be granted to power generation projects affected by change in law under Indian conditions. For instance, many of these coal-based projects which had bid on the basis of assumption that they would have, let's say, substantial, let's say 80% or above kind of domestic coal. In case, because of non-availability of domestic coal, they had been forced to resort to imported coal, which was relatively more expensive compared to the domestic coal. It should be, it can be treated as a positive because that extent of change in energy cost would have to be passed on by way of tariff relief. We estimate that the total amount of PPA-based capacity which has been impacted by the shortfall in supply of domestic coal by Coal India Limited is around 10 gigawatts. However, although this ruling is a positive, the timelines and implementation of such relief remains unclear. In addition, of course, to the escalation which has happened in the energy cost, we must also appreciate the fact that all the projects, whether they were based on imported, they have also fixed. They are also facing risk of fixed cost under recovery for projects where, for example, they may have committed fixed costs, which in light of further development may now appear to be very fine. Some of the reasons which would result in the escalation of fixed costs would be a fact that many of these projects have faced a very significant increase in capital costs. It arises because of various problems. For example, there could be delays in escalation, which would result in an increase in the IDC component, or cost of the equipment itself, which is part of the project. Since these projects were largely where these bids were entered into, let's say, the 2007 to 2010 period. Since then, there's a very significant increase both in the exchange rate as well as in terms of the interest rate which were prevailing. So all these factors, plus there were delays in tying up funds or several other delays could have happened, which have resulted in cost bloating very significantly. For instance, we have done an analysis which indicates that all these projects which were conceived in the late 2000s, they would have seen on an average something like 35 to 40% kind of increase in the capital costs. So obviously that results in an increase in fixed costs. And we also see that for several of these projects, they had entered into PPAs where even the fixed cost elements, they had relatively limited or no limited escalable components in the fixed cost tariff. So obviously these issues are not going to be addressed by the Supreme Court order, but nonetheless would result in under recovery for these players. So that is broadly what we have on the presentation. On that note, I will end the presentation and now open the floor for questions and answers.
The first question is from Mohit. How much capacity of coal we are importing from Indonesia?
Well, the total coal which is being imported is around 120 million tons or so, which would be somewhere around maybe 15 to 20% dependence upon imported coal for the thermal power segment. Now, specifically, I don't have right away the data as to what percentage will be from Indonesia, but very significant part of the total imported coal would be from Indonesia.
Next question is from SP Singh. What would be the long-term implications of this development on the health of the power sector?
See, we need to look at it, divide the entire, spectrum, as I've said during the course of the presentation, into how much of them have signed PPAs based on imported coal and how much they have signed on the base of domestic coal. So as per information which is roughly available with us, around 20 gigawatts of such PPAs, which in our opinion have been signed at relatively fine rates. Of that, almost 50% is based on imported coal and the rest is based on domestic coal. So clearly in the case of domestic coal, imported coal, which is about 9 to 10 gigawatts, this ruling obviously means that if they had underprovided for the energy cost and imported coal costs have increased either because of natural increase or because of changes in law elsewhere, to that extent they will not be compensated. Having said that, we have also seen that compared to the peak period in between 2012 2014 or 15, where coal costs had really escalated, since then there has been some softening. So possibly the impact now is not as severe as we are foreseeing about 2 years back. Of course, lately again there has been some increase in coal cost, although that may or may not be sustained. But yes, around 9 gigawatts will certainly be impacted because of that. For the remaining 10 gigawatts or so, which is based on the assumption of domestic coal, and where that domestic coal was not available for the past 2 to 3, till let's say about 2015, let's say between 2010, when many of these projects would have become operational, and 2015, where coal situation has started easing out. Obviously, there would be an under recovery in this, but this order certainly gives a silver lining in the cloud. But at the same time, the details will have to be worked out. Some methodology will have to be worked out as to determine what is the extent to which they had suffered an under recovery. But definitely overall, for those domestic coal-based projects, there's definitely a way forward.
Next question is from Sunil. Based on this order, do we expect any new power plants in India in this segment?
Increasingly, in the private sector, not too much investment is happening at the thermal power project currently. Most of the, thermal power projects which are currently under execution by the private sector, they had already got their investment closure and funding tie-ups, those kind of things several years in the past. So obviously those projects are now getting closed down. As of now, we are not really seeing too much action on part of the private players to set up new capacities. Whatever new capacities are currently being set up, they are largely being set up by the government sector, whether they are under the CPSU segment or under the state GENCO segment. There, of course, one of the things they have is that most of these CPSUs as well as state GENCOs, either they have already tied up the PPAs based on a cost plus route with the existing DISCOMs, or state GENCOs, they may not have to go through the competitive bidding process. So obviously for them the risks arising are not too much, and obviously they will continue to complete whatever projects they are committed to. Now, before answering, what is the impact of this ruling, we must remember the existing thermal power projects themselves are running at a very low PLF. They're running at around 60%, whereas we have seen in the past in the country that when demand is not an issue, very easily they are able to rack up 75 to 80% kind of PLF. And in any case, the financial viability itself gets impacted if your PLF falls below the 70% kind of mark. So the thing is, till the time the private, so the first issue really is demand. It's not so much the question of build or other things. First thing is, if the private sector has to enter this market again for setting up new power projects, first they may themselves need to have a confidence that the demand would justify their own investments. So given the fact that energy demand has been moderate, of course I must say, when I say moderate, I say in the Indian context as to what we have experienced in the past of 6 to 7, about 6% odd. In fact, most countries in the world would be very happy to have an energy demand growth of 6%, but still 6% energy demand growth, and the fact that a lot of the incremental demand is going to be met by the renewables. So we see that we do see some improvement in the PLF, but it will be some time before the PLF reaches a level where the private sector will get enthused to start re-entering the market in a very big way. And then of course it will have to be seen what kind of bids are offered, whether the bids could be structured very differently. For instance, in future it's possible that the bids could be given on a fixed cost basis, where a lot of the risks of coal procurement, whether it's from imported coal or domestic coal, are borne by the DISCOMs themselves. So these are some of the factors which will determine as to when the private sector comes back into thermal generation space in a big way.
Next question is from Manu. In case of domestic coal-based projects, don't you think that the CIL should actually compensate for the shortfall in the coal supply to developers instead of utilities?
See, that is the thing, that is what the Supreme Court ruling is pointing to, that in case these developers, they had not got, these developers, they had not got, coal supplies from domestic sources, and these PPAs had explicitly been based on assumption of domestic coal. Way is going to be, they intend to let CERC find a way of compensating these players. But obviously it will take some time because the modality will have to be worked out as to how that under recovery is to be determined.
Next question is from Anisha. What is the legal recourse available for Adani or Tata? You mentioned 9 gigawatt of capacity get affected. Can you name some other?
We can arrange for this. I won't remember what are the others. There'll be about 4 gigawatts of Tatas and about 1.5 to 2 in Adani's. There'll be a few others. We can arrange that details. Legal, we haven't really looked into it. This is the Supreme Court, which is the final court of appeal. So I'm not really very clear on what additional legal thing could be worked out. But I'm sure they would be also be exploring opportunities if there's something.
Next question is from Arush. To what extent the Supreme Court's order will act as a precedent for contract renegotiation?
Well, certainly, I think Supreme Court is the highest court in the country, and definitely the principles that they have laid down in these orders will definitely have a very strong bearing on the future contract renegotiation process. Now, to answer to, I think about that, some of the other international, imported based. If I recall correct, I think JSW Group and SR Group have, I think, maybe about 1 gigawatt hour capacity. I wouldn't remember, but these are certainly some of the other players I can recall off the hand of having PPAs impacted by this. They are based on imported coal and be impacted by that. JSW Ratnagiri and SR Gujarat, if I remember correctly.
Next question is from Sonal. Apart from India, how have other coal importing countries responded to the Indonesian's regulations?
Most of the this large amount of Indonesian coal goes to India and China are, of course, the two largest importers of Indonesian thermal coal. Apart from that, they would also be supplying to certain other entities in Southeast Asia, South Asia. I'm not very clear about how they have addressed the issue. What are the PPA structures there?
Next question is from Vivek. Kindly explain what could have been escalable competence in fixed cost.
See, basically, whenever you give a bid, there are typically for both the variable as well as the fixed part of the tariff. And basically, your tariff is divided into two parts. One is the energy charge, and other is that fixed component. And even for the energy and fixed component, there are various subcomponents, and it depends upon the individual bid. But very typically, for the energy charges, you would have a basic coal cost. For imported coal, there is also some. For domestic coal, typically there is also something called a coal transportation index, and third is something called a escalable energy charge, which typically is linked to the overall rate of inflation in the country. Similarly, when you have to give the fixed component, you have to give a non-escalable fixed component, and there's an escalable fixed component, and the PPA itself, I mean, the bid document itself tells you what is the inflator which is going to be used for determining the escalable components. So it's very bid specific.
Next question is from Shailesh. The Supreme Court order also puts further stress on imported coal-based projects that are presently stressed due to various issues. So there is a major negative impact on the power projects and putting a huge pressure on banks who have funded these projects. What's the way out? Can you enlighten?
Well, I mean, obviously there is going to be a stress. I mean, even without this ruling, there's a lot of stress on several projects, both which are based on domestic coal as well as imported coal. So obviously, for those players who were impacted by this cost escalation and where they had entered into relatively fine tariffs, obviously there is going to be a certain stress. I'm not very sure what is going to be the way out. It's just that some of these projects may have signed PPAs where offtake may not have begun. Possibly they could look at alternative routes, like in case the existing utility by chance is not in a position to pick up that power, if they are in a position to sell that power at a higher rate elsewhere. Some of these things could be there, but again, it really depends upon what headroom they have in terms of their existing counterparties not being in a position to take up. But as of now, I don't see a very obvious way out. One way, of course, could be that at least, if they are making some recovery on the overall basis, that is, their overall tariff recovery being higher than the variable cost, uh, and meeting the interest requirement, perhaps they could look at some kind of a lengthening of the bank debt, possibly for some of these projects, depending upon what is the extent of under recovery. It might then that is basically a lengthening of the debt tenure may take care of the problem. Other thing could be that in case the plant configuration permits the use of domestic coal, and they are in a position to secure domestic coal, because as we are aware that Coal India Limited has significant increases output, and they have at various stages being giving out, they are willing to supply more coal to people who are willing to use it. Now, of course, there are several other issues which will have to be taken care of, like the plant configuration, how does the transportation logistics work out. Then possibly some of these affected utilities will have to enter into negotiations with the existing PPA holders, saying allowing them to change from imported to domestic coal. Now, of course, in case where these counterparties feel that the domestic coal will be available at a cheaper rate than imported coal, possibly they may be more open to negotiations. So I think these things will have to unfold over the next few quarters, maybe.
The last question: what is the status of future UMPP projects? Will they take off?
Well, again, it depends upon what is the source of fuel and how because obviously the experience shows that escalation of fixed costs and energy costs have very significantly impacted past PPAs. So how those new UPMPPs are structured so as to mitigate the risk to a great extent will have a very major bearing. But as of now, I think the main issue we are facing really is of demand. Once demand starts coming back, then only we will see large investment activities and UMPP size power projects on part of the private players.